Good afternoon. Well, not good afternoon, good evening. What am I talking about? It's about 8:30 p.m. and we are leaving. Oh, yes, stupid seatbelt. I gotta find a plug for that so I can unplug that. Not because I want to drive around without a seatbelt, but if you're driving around back there like looking for a trailer or something, you don't want that thing going off. I'm not gonna put my seatbelt on, take it off. Put my seatbelt on, take it off. Anyway, we're leaving the National Beef in Dodge City, Kansas. The dusty, messy National Beef. It's a dusty place. And then when it rains or snows, it's a muddy place. And something just fell at my feet. What the hell was it? Oh, I got a thing of water here. That's nice. I would have got under my accelerator. That would have been lovely. So we're heading for South Sioux City, Nebraska, which we do a lot of if you've watched my videos. We do a lot of Greeley, Colorado to South Sioux, Dodge City to South Sioux, all the Empirical Foods. And this load was ready on time. As soon as I got off my break, or about 20 minutes before I got off my break, I went on their website and checked, boom, load ready. And compare that to IBP over in Holcomb the other day, where I sat, oh God, forever waiting on that load. That load was so late, but they've been having problems since Christmas, since right after Christmas. I don't know. But it's about, a little over 7 hours from here to there. After that, who knows? I'll get there about 3:30 in the morning. So, if overnight dispatch doesn't have me something, I'll probably just have to take a 10-hour break there and wait until the guys come in tomorrow and see what they got. That is one of three things from there. It's either that one plant we started going to over in Eagle Grove, Iowa. I forget the name of it. JBS over in Grand Island, Nebraska. I'll deadhead over there sometimes. Or right next door to where I'm dropping this trailer, there's a Tyson IBP plant, and I might pick up there. That stuff usually goes down to Edwardsville, Kansas. We'll see what happens. Somebody else said something in the comments about a live stream while I'm driving. I want to do it, but I'm not going to do it this late, because what's the use? Although I know there's people, all around the world that watch. I get that. Boy, that moon is big. It's not full, but it's big. That's cool. Maybe I will do one in the middle of the night one night and just see how many people come on, It's the best time to run this load, overnight. There's so much two-lane. up from the Loves just before I went over there. At the dark roast. That'll keep me going for a while. I'm trying to stay away from the energy drinks as much as possible. I'm not going to say I'm not going to drink one between here and there, but the more coffee I drink, the less energy drinks I drink. Next stop, probably Schuyler, Nebraska, where I'll fill up the truck, top off the reefer, and go from there. There's the moon again. Yesterday was a long day, man. I sat up all day waiting on that load out of Holcomb. Then I had to drive 6.5 hours to Edwardsville, drop and hook, then drive 200 something miles here to Dodge, drop that trailer. I had about 30 minutes left to drive. Obviously the load wasn't even ready yet anyway. So parked across the street at the truck stop, ate something, went to bed. Like I said, I got about an hour before my break was over. And I went on the website. I'm only eating once a day right now, again, so I'll eat again when I get up to South Sioux. The great thing about eating once a day is if you like to eat, and I like to eat, you can like grub out on a big, huge meal. Now you can only do it once a day, but that's all right. And then once a week, I'll treat myself to some sugar, be it pie, cake, cookies, ice cream. The other day I ate an entire quart of Oreo ice cream. But that's it for the week. I did that yesterday. Yesterday was Sunday, the first of the week, so I can't do that again until next week. But that's all I ate that day. I ate that in a meal. You know, I ate meat along with that. So most of the time all I eat is meat and some vegetables. Usually broccoli or a little cauliflower. Every once in a while I'll get a salad. I like broccoli. If I splurge and get a Subway sandwich, you know, I'll get some spinach and stuff on it, some raw spinach. I don't like cooked spinach, I like raw spinach. I love cooked cabbage or fried cabbage. I'll get that at home. We'll make fried cabbage with corned beef or fried cabbage and pork chops. Man, I need to shut up about food. I'll say one thing for this new truck, it rides smooth, man. It is smooth. There's no doubt about that. The APU's not working already. I think there's something going on between the control panel and the APU itself. It's got a new version, a new style of control panel on it. I don't like it. They should have stuck with the old one. I think I did a rant about that. I don't know. If I didn't, well, I'm doing another one. Leave it to truck manufacturers and reefer manufacturers and anything involved in the trucking industry. If something works too well, don't worry. They'll be sure to come out with a new model and screw it up. They'll be sure to come out with a new model that works worse than the old model. Because everybody is out here to make our jobs that much more complicated. I'm telling you, there are people, you guys know it. You've been in this business for more than 5 minutes, right? You know it. There are engineers or safety people out there somewhere saying, you know what? Those guys, that's just too easy. Let's screw up that product and make it harder for them to use. Or, you know what? Accident rates in the trucking industry is going down. Let's just pile up a bunch of new regulations that are unneeded and just make things worse. That's the trucking industry. People knew how ineffective and inefficient, I don't want to say ineffective, how inefficient the trucking industry is, thanks in part to the government, but also thanks in part to the quote safety culture, this obsession with, you know, this obsessive safety culture. You would be amazed that you'd even get anything to the stores. One reason why prices stay high for a lot of goods. We're obsessed with safety to the point to where we've almost paralyzed this industry. Now, I know I'm going to hear it. Oh, so you don't think it should be safe? You think you should be just barreling down the road killing people? Nope. 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 It's not what I'm saying. I'll give an example. They give us 11 hours to drive. Right? That's the standard U.S. federal hours of service. States differ, but if you're running across state lines, federal hours of service is 11 hours. Now, in that 11 hours, they want you to take a 30-minute break sometime after 8 hours, or before you hit your 8th hour, I should say. Right? So there's 30 minutes they take from you. Most companies want you to take at least a 10 to 15 minute pre-trip. There's another 15 minutes they've taken away from you. Right? Now you might say, well, the 30 minutes you can go off duty. Your clock keeps ticking. Unless you go in a sleeper for 2 hours, your clock keeps ticking. 15 minutes is taken away from you 70. And the clock is ticking there. Well, no, it's not. Oh, yeah, it is. I'm sorry, it is. So the clock is ticking there. And then some companies want you to do a 15-minute post-trip on duty. On duty. So that ticks away from your 14-hour on-duty clock there. So that's an hour. If you got to do 15 on, pre, 15 post, 30-minute break, that's an hour. They've taken an hour away from you. Then you got to show some time for fueling on duty and loading, unloading, dropping hook, whatever. They just eat away at you, eat away, eat away, eat away. And they always say, oh, a few minutes here, that's not going to really affect you. A couple of minutes here, a couple of minutes. No, but you add them up and it does affect you. That's your safety departments. Now, I understand the federal rules say you do have to show some on duty for a pre-trip, for fueling, for dropping hook, load, unload, whatever. I get that. There's a myriad of things you're supposed to go on duty for that most of us don't go on duty for. In between it, like if I'm putting on tire chains in the winter, I'm supposed to go on duty for that. I'm not going on duty for that. Now, I might, down here in the lower 48, I may show a couple of minutes putting on chains. Now, in Alaska, I won't, because in Alaska, there's no chain up law. There's no sign saying you must chain up here or there, whatever. Whereas if I'm on I-70 in Colorado, west of Denver, they have a sign where they chain law out. So if I get to the other side of the mountains and I get pulled in the scale, the guy's going to say, hey, the chain up law, I see you came through. Either A, you didn't put on chains, or B, you put on chains off duty. Either way, you're in some sort of violation. Whereas if I'm running the Dalton in Alaska and I get over Adigan, number one, there's no state troopers around. And if for some reason there happens to be a state trooper up there who just decides, I don't know, he has nothing better to do than mess with haul road drivers. And he said, oh, you didn't chain up going over Adigan? Nope. Ran over it barefoot. Didn't need to. Good heavy load, good weight on the drives, got good traction tires, or siped, I'm good. Okay, fair enough. Or more than likely, coming back, I'd hit the weigh station there in Fox, maybe, and they would pull me in. Oh, you didn't chain up at all on the haul road? Nope. Got lucky. Oh, fair enough. Like that moon's going to be with us for a while. But I guess that's my point, you know, they just kind of chip away. Now they're talking about limiting personal conveyance. You know, and here's the thing with that. Okay, normally I get home by going to the Tyson IBB plant in Amarillo. I live about 85 miles from that plant. So it takes me about an hour and a half, hour and 20 minutes, about an hour and 20 minutes to get home. Now say I was up in Holcomb or at our Garden City yard, and I did some PCing around there, going to the grocery store or whatever, and then I pick up that load, go to Amarillo, and I don't have enough PC time to get home, and I don't have enough driving hours to get home. You think I'm going to sit 20 miles from my house, 30 miles from my house? No, I'm not going to do it. That's stupid, and it has absolutely nothing to do with safety. I understand the problem of guys running loads on personal conveyance. I get it. You bust those guys. How about that? But see, this way it's always zero tolerance. Well, we caught these guys doing this, therefore everybody's going to get punished for it. How about you just bust the guys that are running loads on personal conveyance? How about that? They're trying really, really hard to turn the American trucking industry into the European trucking industry. No offense to my European friends, but I understand the tight regulations that y'all have over there. Here's the difference. In Europe, you can go through 3 states in one day. I mean, 3 countries, I'm sorry, in one day. Right? You can get on the boat in the UK, go over to France, and then, you know, be in Germany before you have to take a break. And there's a lot of traffic, especially in places like Germany. A lot of traffic. It's a different world. But they've been trying for decades to turn the American trucking industry into Europe, into what they have in Europe. And I'm sure they're pushing Australia to do the same thing. Really, as these trucks get more comfortable, they get easier to drive, they get smoother, they don't beat you to death as bad. They should be extending the driving hours. The roads are better. Well, most states they're better. Some states it feels like you're traveling through a third world country. Saw something else the other day when I was waiting for that load in Holcomb, Kansas. There's a Dollar General right across the street from the truck stop. And guys who've been over there, you know what I'm talking about. I wasn't going to say anything because I beat this horse to death, but I think it's worth repeating. There was a lot of trash over there in the little field right behind it. I can almost bet you that trash blew across the road from the truck stop. There goes one of our drivers. My point is, everywhere you've got a truck stop, you've got trash. Now, any place where you have a large congregation of people, you have trash. I remember, people talking about all these Earth Day celebrations, all these so-called environmentalists. Every time they'd have some sort of Earth Day celebration, they'd always leave a bunch of garbage, a bunch of trash on the ground. Yet they're environmentalists. I get it. Humans suck. I remember I used to watch Survivor Man, and he would talk about no matter how desolate of a place he would go to, he could always find some sort of trash from a human that washed up on shore or something if he was near water. It's always something. It's not just us. I get it. We're people. We come from the general population. It's not like we're some anomaly. It's not like we fell out of the sky. Truck drivers come from the general population of this country, all over the world. So it's not just an us problem. However, I would like to see us clean up behind ourselves and make ourselves look like the clean people out of the population. But like I said, I've talked about that and talked about it, and I'm sure people are sick of hearing about it. And I'm not one of these guys that likes to just dump on the trucking industry, on the drivers, I should say, all the time. There are legitimate gripes with some drivers today, but that all goes back to the industry and how it acts, how it treats the drivers. I've often said, you treat drivers like children, they're going to act like children. You treat them like they're not professional, and they're not going to be professional. In other words, you micromanage them, and then you expect them to be able to think on their own at 2 o'clock in the morning when something happens that they should be able to deal with themselves, but they're calling and waking you up. Don't get upset. You've trained that guy to not think for himself. Don't be upset because you micromanaged him all day, and then at 2 in the morning he doesn't know what to do. You caused that. So I can have a legitimate gripe about drivers today, but those drivers are the way they are because of how they've been treated in this industry. One of the reasons I got in this industry is freedom. And that's the reason why a lot of guys of my generation got in this, and generations before me got in this industry, is for freedom. We don't want somebody looking over our shoulder. We don't need to be micromanaged. We can do a job where we're by ourselves. We don't need a boss staring over us. But as Benjamin Franklin said, when you give up your liberty for safety, you deserve neither. And that's the same in this industry. When you give up that freedom to be micromanaged in the name of safety or efficiency, you're not going to get either one, and you don't. In fact, it's gotten worse. So there you go. As they say, the proof is in the pudding. Well, you got a big bowl of pudding there. Unsafe pudding. Disastrous pudding, if you will. So for all you safety directors out there and politicians, get you a big bowl of that pudding. Now I'm hungry for pudding. I need to shut up about food. I'm not even really hungry. Then I start talking about food. The last time I ate sugar, not the Oreo ice cream, the time before that, I got me a little thing of Reese's peanut butter cup pudding. They had chunks of Reese's peanut butter cup in it. It was good, I must say. Sinfully delicious, as they say. Oh, you know what's good? That Reese's peanut butter cup ice cream. Holy crap. I used to get that once a week when I was in Alaska. I'd go to this little convenience store and get it. A whole quart of it. And I'd sit there and find a movie or something on YouTube. And I would watch it. And I'd watch that while I was eating that whole quart of ice cream. Oh, you know what I watched the other day while I was waiting on that load? Jeremiah Johnson with Robert Redford. Remember that movie? I love that movie. I love that movie because when I was in Alaska, there's no fences up there. You're driving along the road and there's no fences. We're so used to seeing fences down here in the States, right? Everywhere you go along the side of the road, there's fences. There's no fences up there. And so you could literally pull off on the shoulder of the road, walk out into the wilderness, and never come back. And as a man, and I say as a man because I don't know if women think like this. As a man, I often thought, you know, I could just do that. I could park right here, walk off into those woods, and never come back. Will I survive? I don't know. I might get eaten by something. I might freeze to death. I might starve to death. But I'll be free. A lot harder to do that down here in, quote, civilization. Oh, I didn't realize I was in Kinsley already. I got to turn. Time flies when you're running your head on a video. Dude, I'm turning. You can... I guess he's going to sit there and wait. I don't know why he's waiting. Plenty of room for both of us on this road. But yeah, just walk out into the wilderness, and that's it. You die on your own terms. Get eaten by a bear or something. I don't know. Or you survive and 20 years later somebody finds you out there in the woods and you're about half crazy and whatever. I think just about every man, like I said, I can't speak for women, but I think just about every man at one time in his life has thought about that. And it doesn't mean you don't love your wife and kids, you know, you're married, got your 2.5 kids or whatever, however that works. And you think, I'm out in the wilderness, like Grizzly Adams or something, or Jeremiah Johnson or something. And that's it. Express. Ooh, right up behind him. Them guys go slow. Well, I think they've sped them up a little bit. They used to do like 57. I think they can go a little faster than that now. Still, they're slow. I say things like that to my wife about, yeah, I could go off in the woods. She goes, please don't do that. Because I'm not. I'm just saying. I think about that every time I was driving. You know, I think, oh, I could go off in those woods. That'd be it. Hard to find a place in the lower 48 like that. Like even around where I live, you know, Paladuro Canyon's full of tourists, Caprock Canyon's full of tourists. You know, there are people everywhere. to your own thoughts. Or cassette tape back in the day, or CD. Now at least, you can Pandora music, YouTube music, or listen to a podcast or something. Satellite radio. It's a little better. But you still get hours and hours of this. I'm not complaining. This is a decent road. And a nice, fairly empty road is always a good thing. Feeling eventually I'm going to do one or two things. I'm going to go back to oil field driving, or I'll go back to Alaska next winter. I don't know yet. This is just so boring. Always crave the adventure, The thing that a lot of guys can't or won't do. I've always been that guy. When you hear a lot of guys, oh man, I wouldn't do that. Oh man, that's too difficult. That's too dangerous. That's too whatever. It's too cold. It's too hot. It's too dusty. Whatever. That's where I like to go. That's where I head. Because you don't know who you are or what you're capable of until you push yourself beyond your comfort zone. I'm not saying put yourself in danger continuously. I'm saying push yourself a little bit. Just have an adventure. Even if that adventure is, I don't know, how to get the chain up law out. You know what? I think I want to stop and actually put on a set of chains instead of waiting it out. Something like that. It may not sound like a big deal to some people, but one man's everyday thing is another man's adventure. It depends on you. You're not competing with anyone else. You're competing with yourself. You're not competing with me. You're not competing with anyone else on the highway. You're competing with yourself. I'm not competing with anyone else. I'm competing with myself. I'm 57 years old. Somebody said something about what I do on my birthday. I said, I don't do anything, I work. And they're like, well, what would you do if you weren't working? I said, I don't think about it. It's just another day. At my age, it's just another day. And they said, oh, so you're saying that you feel that you're old and so you just take it easy. I said, no, the exact opposite. I don't feel like I'm old. I'm 57. I don't feel like I'm 57. I'm in better shape now than I was in my 30s. In my 30s, I was overweight and I drank a lot when I was home. Now I'm in much better shape. don't drink, and I feel better. Once you decide that you're old, then you're old. You ever see people that, you think, wow, man, they look great for their age. And then all of a sudden, it looks like God snapped his fingers and boom, they look their age and even then some, And you're like, wow, what the hell happened to them? They used to look so young for their age. Because somewhere down the road, somebody told them or they decided that they were old. I'm very happy with the fact that I'm 57 and I'm on 0 medication. 0. I don't take blood pressure medication. I don't take anything. Now, that could change tomorrow. My blood pressure's been close, especially back when I was overweight. And if I let myself put on too many pounds, it'll get close. It got close in Alaska. They gave me a 6-month card. And the guy's like, hey, you might have to get on blood pressure medication. And I said, nope. I'll put on a few pounds. I'm going to lose them. And I did. And when I came back down here and I got it tested again, I was perfect. Because I'd lost weight. I'd lost like 10 pounds. That's all it took. I had to let myself go a little bit. Plus, it was a little more stressful up there. Being a long way away from home, plus just the stress of driving up there, and but my blood pressure would have handled that, but I had a few extra pounds on it I had to deal with. So I came back down here, I took care of that, got my physical again, got a 2-year card. Now, I could have just capitulated with the guy, or I could have just agreed, yeah, let me go down and get on blood pressure medication. But I've got a good friend who's on blood pressure medication, and he told me, don't ever let him put you on blood pressure medication unless, you just cannot control it. If you can control it naturally, he said, do it. Because once you're on it, you're on it. That's it. I do not want to be dependent on anything. Obviously, I'm dependent on food, water, oxygen. I get that, the natural stuff. I don't want to be dependent on medication. If I can help it. If something comes along and I have to, then I have to. But once you get yourself dependent on medication or something like that, that's it, they've got you. Boom. Now you got to get on this medication to counteract that medication. But then you got to get on this medication because of the side effects of the other medication because of the other medication. Next thing you know, you're taking 4 or 5 medications a day. I really I'll take a little melatonin sparingly. If I just cannot sleep, I just can't shut my brain off, I will take a little melatonin. But I don't do that every night because your body will get immune to it, and then you either got to take more of it or something more powerful. Which melatonin is illegal in the UK. I had a British friend of mine tell me that. I'm like, why? It's what? You can buy it like at Walmart over here, man. Right off the shelf. It's illegal. She goes, I know when I go to the States, I'll get me some and use it. But it's illegal in Britain. Huh. Okay, well, whatever. lane. I don't know. Somebody may be able to correct me on that. I'm not dissing anyone that's taking medication. If you have to take it, you have to take it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying, me personally, I don't have to take any at the moment. And so I'm happy about that. And I'm not suggesting that if you are taking it, to stop taking it. Because if you need it, you need it. And like I said, I may need it one day. I'm not Superman. Although I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do when I grow up. I still sometimes feel like I'm never going to die. I'm going to die. It's going to happen. Like to die on my own terms, and what I mean by that is I don't want to be riddled with cancer or something like that. That's why I say if I went off in the wilderness and died, so be it. I drove, slid off a mountain and died, so be it. Or I go to sleep and never wake up. This intersection appears at a bad angle. Anybody's ever run through here understands what I'm saying. You got to kind of get over here and then turn a sharp right so you can see what's coming down this road to your right. And they still got the Merry Christmas sign up, even though it's January the 5th. Cops sitting out here every once in a while. It's 35 through here. So I try to keep close to that. I had a chance to do some cattle hauling a few years ago. Sometimes I think I should have done that. That's one thing in this business I hadn't really done. Although I have transported camels and elephants back in the day when I'd worked for a traveling circus. Hired on and everything for this one place. I don't know, I just, time wasn't right. I probably liked it, you know, still paper logs and pretty much did what you wanted. We'll get up here to Great Bend and we'll turn up toward Ellsworth, put over to Salina, get on 81 and go north up through York, Nebraska. I don't know where I'm going to go from there. There's two different ways. I can get this. I'll run up to Schuyler, stop, get out. And I go to South Sioux a lot. So I'll go ahead and call it a night on the video. Yeah, I need to do a live stream. I need to quit talking about it and do it. I haven't done one in a while. I need to do one driving. Again, I need to stop talking about it and do it. I always appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate the comments. Positive, negative. It's a comment. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope the new year is treating you well. Yep. That's it for now, guys. Thanks for watching.